Before this, there wasn't in sociological research. There wasn't as much focus on the networks that made up social interaction. It was people were sort of people were treated as sort of independent, isolated elements, and when they interacted as individuals. Right? What Granovetter said was, we need to start looking at not only where people are interacting in very sort of direct ways, how you relate to your boss or your spouse or your siblings, how you relate to people with whom you have weak ties. So that's acquaintances, people you see on occasion, people, your cousin's best friend that you met once, but had a good conversation, right? The part that he's most famous for is this idea that he researched how people tended to get jobs. And the assumption had been that people get jobs through people they know very well, right? Because you get recommended for a job through your uncle or your best friend. That's what but what he actually found in his research was sort of, was contrary to what the sort of assumptions had been in sociology up to that point, was that people were getting jobs from people they barely knew, right? It was people with whom they had weak ties. What he covers very briefly in this paper, and what has since been explored over and over again, is why that happens. And what they found is that people who you share weak ties with have a broader range of life that they're engaging in, right? So you and your best friend probably know the same people, right? Know the same opportunities, know the same sort of ways of thinking about things that might lead to a job. People who you barely know are going to be swimming in different circles, right? So again, it seems pretty straightforward in retrospect, but when he came up with this paper, it was sort of game-changing.